Hello, my good friends. Welcome to my podcast. This is episode number 12, titled How I Arrived into the Real Estate Business. Remember to leave your comments and ask your questions and subscribe so these episodes will come directly to you. And if you have never met the Fisher Realtors team, you could meet them at jfisherrealtors.com. I repeat, if you have not met the Fisher Realtors team, you can meet them at jfisherrealtors.com. Now, upon leaving you on episode number 11, I had mentioned that this episode number 12 would be another major change in my life, and that it will be. You see, because life constantly changes. It changes all the time, sometimes for the good, and sometimes for the bad. But you know, my good friend, sometimes everything is going so good. We are extremely happy about life. Then on another hand, sometimes life seems to work against us. We become depressed because of all of the adversities that we are receiving in life. But we must understand, whether we are young, middle-aged, or old, that we are not exempt from adversities in our life. So when life is working for us, and we are so happy because everything is going so good within our lives, we must understand where all of these blessings are coming from. And we need to be thankful to the Almighty God. But when times are working against us, the question will be, what will you do? Will you throw up your hands and quit? Or will you stand up and fight through all of these adversities of life? With that said, I must tell you, my good friends, that this episode number 12, it is about joy and happiness. Joy and happiness. Why? Because everything is going so well now in my life. My barber business is growing rapidly. My Tuesday facial specials, they are growing by leaps and bounds. And my good friends, most of my friends are doing quite well in life, and they're being so supportive of me and my business. For instance, my good friend Lee Timmons, he took a job working for the Chimes Press Printing, located there on 12th and McDonald. And my good friend Joe Eddie McDonald, he had just gotten out of the Navy, and he took a job working for the U.S. Postal Services as a letter carrier. And my good friend Leroy Walker, he had just graduated from Contra Costa College, and he was on his way to Utah State University on a basketball scholarship, continuing his stardom as a basketball player. And then my good friend Joe Genta, who was an original domino, he started working with his father at the Certainty Roofing Company there in North Richmond. And then my good friend, Lester Washington, he started working at Smith's Clothiers in Berkeley on Shattuck Avenue. And then my good friend, S.D. Hughes, another original domino. He was dating Joette's sister, Levada, and they opened up a wig shop there in on 6th and McDonald. And then after the Wayland station closed there in Point Melotti, my brother Jesse, he started working in a program in South Richmond with Mrs. Juanita LeBeau, a program that was originated by Senator John Nedgerly. And then my good friend, Jake Malone, another original domino. He started working with the Santa Fe Railroad Company there on Girard Avenue in the city of Richmond. And then my good friend, Boo Nut, Ellis Cornelius Mitchell, he became a Black Panther, and he started working at the cannery there in Oakland. And then my good friend, Ellis, Spud, we called him, another original domino. He started working in a program with the first Black Muslims here in the city of Richmond. And then my good friend, Eugene Jefferson, another original domino. He started working in the shoe department at Smith's Clothiers there on 14th and Broadway. So you can see, my brothers and sisters, things are going well, extremely well. And then on top of that, Mr. Booker Baker Sr., he started coming to the barbershop, bringing his 4 boys, Ronnie Baker, Booker Baker Jr., Marvin Baker, and Corey. So look, I mean, things are going well for me. And then to top that off, Mr. Lonnie C. Washington Sr., the first African-American police in the city of Richmond, the first Black policeman in the city of Richmond. Because of my relationship with his son Lester, he discontinued going to his regular barbershop, and he started coming to me every 2 weeks to get his haircut. Come on now. Look, life is good. That's what we call rolling. And I was rolling. Things are getting well. So you could see now, how can you complain about that? Life is so good. But I haven't told you, I haven't talked about that major change in my life, but I did tell you it was about joy and happiness. Let me tell you what happened. Lonnie Washington, he was directly responsible for me purchasing that 1964 Fleetwood Brougham Cadillac convertible car. Come on now, I'm rolling. 1964 Cadillac car. And then after about 2 months after I had purchased that 64 Cadillac convertible car, I was walking Johnny owned the barbershop in the 400 block. Now, if you remember, I was working at the Bowtie Barbershop at 513 McDonald. It was owned by a gentleman, Otis Carter. And so Johnny, I had known since I was a very young boy, and I would walk by his barbershop every day. And then it happened. One day, Johnny stopped me as I was passing his barbershop. And he came out and he said, Joe, I'm going to retire. After 50 plus years in the barber business, I'm going to retire. And then he asked me, he said, would you like to purchase my shop? And I said, wow. I said, yes, immediately, not thinking that I had spent all my money on that 1964 convertible Cadillac. But I believe that when there's a will, there's a way. I said yes, and I knew exactly what I had to do. So you may ask, well, what is that? Well, I had done it before, a part-time job. So now you remember now, I was on cutting 512 South 16th Street. It was a liquor store right across the street. I knew what I had to do. And Sylvester Greenwood, and he was attending Fresno State University, and he was working at this liquor store part-time. Also, Sonny Green, he was driving a bus for the AC Transit Company. And he was also working at the 15th Street Cutting liquor store part-time. I went and I asked them to speak up for me, to help me to get a part-time job, because I had to purchase this shop. Had to. I could see it. I could feel it. So I was working. So they heard my plea, both of them, and they helped me to get a job part-time, working, stocking the refrigerators late at night after I was working at the barbershop. And I want to tell you that in a few months, Johnny, who owned that shop, he made a deal with me that I was able to give him some of the monies and pay him. And so I was able to get that shop. You talking about joy. I was able to get that shop, change the name. It was fully equipped, 4 nice chairs. It was moving condition. And I was ready. And all I had to do is change it to the colors I liked and call it Joe's Barbershop. I'm going to tell you, life is good. But let me share this with you. You remember I was telling you some episodes back that when you are called according to God's purpose, that he will not only put things in your life, but he'll put people in your life. This will not be the first time that people have been in my life to help these changes. Well, look at this. I mentioned Sylvester Greenwood. I had known him since a kid. He lived on C Street down at a lot of people never heard or heard of C Street. But after First Street, going to McDonald's, A, B, and C, especially on Barrett Avenue. I asked him, then Sonny Green, I found out years later that Sonny Green's real name was Nathaniel Carson. And he was the firstborn, the oldest of Brother Francis Carson kids. And that found that out. In addition to that, I found out that Nathaniel Carson was married to our own Elmina Green's sister Sandra. Now, come on now. Come on. Isn't that's just amazing how life will work. Look, on episode number 13, joy and happiness will continue, but it will change a bit, but it'll change for the best. So stay with me. I want to conclude this episode number 12 by saying joy and happiness. Everyone be safe in this pandemic. Pandemic never takes a vacation. So let's be safe. And I'll see you on episode number 13. God bless you.